Hello there, this is Battle Born again. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why the enabler of the narcissist a lot of times is way worse than the actual narcissist that you are dealing with. So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about it from a situation where you were growing up in a family, and let's just say that you had a narcissistic mother, and then you had a dad that was the enabler of the narcissist, the servant. I like to use that word because that's actually what they are. They are a servant of the narcissist. And when you think about it in that kind of context, it's going to be easier for you to see their actions through that kind of lens, because when you see them as a servant, you will start to understand a little bit more why they're doing what they're doing, because they have actually, in their world, to the enabler, the narcissist, and let's just stick with a narcissistic mother and an enabling dad. So the narcissist in this picture is someone that the enabler has or is idealizing. This person is above the enabler in the enabler's head. So everything that the narcissistic mother says in this instance goes, and everything basically that they do to other people is gonna be done with very little to no resistance. A lot of times it's gonna be just basically pushed further by the enabler or the servant in this setting. So in this kind of scenario, it's easy to think that, the narcissist is, the worst person, and they are like the one that we should put all the blame on for, basically, if you have grown up in a situation like this, in this kind of family setting. But I think that is usually our initial kind of reaction, because the narcissist, the main narcissist, it's easy to think of the situation as only one narcissist. And a lot of times I think the enabler is a narcissist as well, but they are a weaker narcissist. So basically they have found themselves a stronger narcissist that they are serving. And otherwise it wouldn't be okay for the enabling dad in this instance to do what they're doing. They actually have to agree with the narcissist's actions. Otherwise they wouldn't stay around. Otherwise they wouldn't not speak up, and sometimes when the enabler is being mistreated themselves, they might, show a little bit of resistance, but it's usually short-lived, and then they will usually push the scapegoated kid into the situation like a buffer between themselves and the narcissist. And that's basically what the scapegoat is there to do. So in many ways, they are there to take off a lot of the steam that the narcissist is dishing out, and basically protect the enabler from getting all this junk onto themselves, So these people, the enabler, the servant, is really a lot of times, in many instances, way more difficult to deal with mentally and all these things afterwards, like after you have gone no contact with your family, or if you are in the process of doing that. These people like to play both fields. They like to be your best friend one day, and the next day they are again just showing you who they are really serving, which is always going to be the narcissist. But for the enabler, it's important to kind of like, have stalks into all people in this family, even the scapegoat. So a lot of times they will tell the scapegoat, yeah, I understand you and all these things, but, it's just words, really. It's through their actions. It's, they don't understand you, and they think it's actually a lot of times, they think it is that you are deserving for whatever kind of behavior that the narcissist is letting you go through, you know? So they actually think that this is just okay in many instances. So what you might experience when you go no contact is, you know, with the narcissistic family is this enabler character, that this person is much more difficult to place in your mind. Like, was this a good person? Was this a person that also was abused by the narcissist? And in a lot of instances, they were themselves also abused. That's true, but still they chose to stay around this person. They were an adult. And what's the real deal with the enabler, and why I really wanted to make this video, is because the enabler is in many cases more dangerous to you than the actual main narcissist that is basically in charge of the family. And why that is because within the enabler, especially like if you are the scapegoated kid, and the enabler has a lot of resentment towards his own children, and especially the scapegoated children or the scapegoated kid. The reason this is because when he sees the scapegoat, he sees a kid that was able to a lot of times stand up to the narcissist and do and say things towards the narcissist that he himself, that the enabler himself was not able to say. And so when he deals with you, or when he deals with the scapegoated kid, he feels that resentment. He feels that kind of like envy, jealousy. And a lot of times these enabling dads are in competition with their sons as well. So they're kind of like competing, even though you are not doing that as the scapegoated kid, but he is competing with you to get the validation from the narcissistic mom. And this is kind of like a sick setting to be in, because you don't know what's going on and you can't really understand the enabler's mind when you are in this setting. But this is what's, you know, basically going on in their mind, you know. And a lot of times the narcissistic mother will also triangulate, you know, the kids with her actual husband, in creating jealousy and strife as well. But still, the enabler is responsible for not playing into that kind of twisted game, but they are actually doing that a lot of times. So they will start to compete with you, and you don't really understand what the hell is going on. Because you're like, isn't this supposed to be, you know, my dad, isn't he supposed to support me? And then you will start to see that the enabler is way more sabotaging to you, is way more negative towards you. And all of this is like, you feel it as a kid, and you feel it also as a young adult. And even when you are an adult, you don't understand why, because all you did was basically being yourself and all of these things. But the main thing is that if you were the scapegoated kid and you stood up to the narcissist, the enabler, the enabling dad, he's jealous and he's envious, because he's thinking in himself like, why couldn't I do this? Why didn't I stand up to this person? Because they know that they're like a beaten dog, you know, they're like a beaten dog in this scenario, and they see you as the kid, and they see that you are actually stronger than they are, you know. And that bothers the enabler, you know, so much that as they age, they will, you know, do a lot of things, and they might do a lot of things to you to kind of like stifle your progress, to make it even more difficult for you, especially when you realize what has been going on, especially when you start to understand things, because that's the worst part for the enabler, man. That's what the enabler tries to hide from the world, you know, most of the time, because they don't want that to basically come out, that, you know, they put you, their own kid, in that position to combat, you know, somebody that they couldn't really deal with themselves, you know. So when you start to understand, when you start to realize, the enabler is going to be a lot of times more dangerous to you than the actual narcissist or the main narcissist. And it's going to be like, when I say dangerous to you, it's going to be stuff you can't really, it's not out in the open as it is with the main narcissist that is attacking you and like are in your face, right? With the enabler, it's going to be underhanded. It's going to be stuff you can't really see it, you know? So it's like they're playing chess with you, but it's like you can't really see the chess board, and while, you know, you think that, you know, everything is kind of should be kind of good with this person, the enabler is still harboring a lot of resentment towards you. And the only reason is because you were able to be stronger than him. So that's what I wanted to say in this video. Thank you for listening in, and have a good day.